Warning, this whole entire episode is Dulcie focus. If you have been a lover of SATAM and the Archie comics, it did not have anything to care for Dulcie. This is not your episode. Now, I know this episode before, and there's not much that's going to happen that's important only for Rotor. So again, if you're a Rotor fan, this episode's for you. I'm talking to the 3 people who listen to this show in Germany. Yes, I have checked my demographics. I surprisingly have some interesting viewers in Germany. Hi! And if you really are not into that type of thing, I suggest you skip this episode and move on. I'll probably explain it later about what happened that you missed. Okay, without further ado, episode 24. Dulcie hung upside down from a tree branch, trying to get some sleep. For the past few nights, she had been having trouble getting to sleep, and the fact that a late winter snowstorm was racing wasn't making it any easier. Trixie is surprised. What? This episode's called Dragonheart. And you're not going to make what? You mean the Draco. Where will you look to now for advice? To the stars, Owen. To the stars. Trixie knew it. It's one of your favorite fantasy films. I love that movie. Every damn minute. And I have an affection for the sequels. She wasn't bothered by the cold, but her tail tended to slip off the snow-covered branches if she didn't pay attention. But even when she did get to sleep, her dreams had been troubled. She kept dreaming about her mom, which she liked. But all her mom done lately was looking at her with sad eyes, which disturbed her. Never had her dreams been like that, and the dream was recurring. Trying to see Mike, Dulcie couldn't rid herself of the thought that her mom was trying to warn her about something. After a few moments, Dulcie finally drifted off to sleep. But as soon as she did, her dream started again. She'd see her mother hovering before her, as clearly as if it was really happening. But that was all she was doing. The sadness in her eyes made Dulcie feel like she wanted to say something, but couldn't. "Tell me!" Dulcie cried. "Tell me what it is!" "Oh, my daughter," Sabina said, rushing to hug Dulcie. "Finally, you have let me in." "Ma," Dulcie said, confused. "But this is all a dream." "Not quite, Dulcie," Sabina said. "I don't have time to explain, but you must listen to me. The time has come in your life when you will be forced to make some very hard choices. I am sending someone to guide you through it, someone you have already helped and is eager to return the favor." "Why didn't you come?" Dulcie asked. "I miss you so much." "I miss you too, but it's not safe for me to come. Even if it was, I wouldn't be able to make it to you in time. Do you understand?" "Yes, Ma. Please, for the love of Bahamut and all the good dragons everywhere, tell me it's not an abusive husband. That arc was the worst." "That was for you, Ben." "Good. But there's one other thing I must warn you about. Evil is threatening you, and you must face it. I only pray that you'll have the strength to win." "Evil? What evil?" "Snivelly, Metal Sonic, Caving Off, Robotnik." "I must go now. Everything will be made clear soon, I promise. Take care, Dulcie." "Ma?" Dulcie asked as her mother's image began to fade out. "No, don't go!" "Farewell. Go to the rock that looks like your long neck, past the mountains that burn." "Mother, come back, Mother!" There, I just recited lines that'll probably hurt some of you into nostalgic feels. "Ma!" Dulcie yelled, waking up. Looking around, she realized where she was and caught herself just in time before her tail slipped off the branch. She twisted around and landed on her feet. "That was a weird dream," she muttered, stretching and snaking the show off of her. "You adults!" Sonic called, running up to her with Sally right next to him. "Everything okay?" "Sure, Sonic," Dulcie said. "Just a bad dream, that's all." "Are you sure, Dulcie?" Sally asked. "You've been having a lot of bad dreams lately. Is there anything you need to talk about?" "Nah, everything's cool." "Okay, if you say so," Sonic said. "Sally and I are going over to the war room to see if there's anything we can figure out where Robotnik's hiding the Lightning Emerald. Want to come?" Dulcie shook her head. "I got some things to think about, so I'm going for a flight. Catch you later." "Alright, catch you then." Dulcie waved as Sonic and Sally ran off. She spread her wings and took off for the open sky. She knew it was more than just a dream, but she didn't know how much more. And what was this evil that was threatening her? "I repeat!" A lot didn't make sense, and she hoped it would soon. As she flew over the lava pools, she spied an approaching figure. She hovered in midair, curious about this. As the figure came closer, she easily made it out as a dragon. In fact, this is the dragon she helped out a couple of years back during their first flight to Dragon Crest. "Hey!" she called with her arms. "Over here!" The female dragon waved back and flew over to Dulcie. "Greetings, protector," she said, making a slight bow in the air. "And Bird, is that you?" "Oh, come on, just call me Dulcie." The dragon smiled. "Okay, Dulcie. You've grown since I've seen you last." "Aw," Dulcie said, suddenly turning shy. "I haven't grown that much." "Don't joke about that. You're almost an adult now, and that's why I'm here." "What?" Dulcie asked, finally remembering her dream. "Did Ma send you?" "So, she was finally able to get in touch. Good. We better head back to where you were staying. There's a lot you need to know, and not that much time to learn it." "Okay," Dulcie said, a little certain. "Follow me." She winged out towards Nahal with the other dragon close behind. Sandra and Tails stood on guard duty, searching carefully for any sign of intruders. "It's been a while since we took this seriously," Sandra said, scanning the great forest. "While it's stiffly active and not bound by the race, we have to be on guard." "Especially with Dorian on his side," Tails said. "I'm still surprised he hasn't led Sniffly straight here, especially Neil." "Miles, we've been through this. I don't mind you saying this to me, but I don't think you should let Lydia hear what you're saying." "And what's that?" Lydia asked, poking her head through the trapdoor. Tails jumped. Hi, Lydia," he said. "Nothing to worry about." Lydia pulled herself up through the door and stared at Tails. "This wouldn't have anything to do with Dorian, would it?" "You know how I feel," Tails said. "Until he's out from under Sniffly, I refuse to trust him." Lydia glared at him, red eyes glinting. "I don't really care what you think, Tails. Fact is, I love him. That's all you need to concern yourself with." "Hey, it's okay. A pedophile. I was in love. I had a crush on with a pedophile for a while." "Yeah, I decided to make fun of Fiona. Come at me, boys." "Calm down, you two," Sandra ordered. "You both know better than this. How are we supposed to beat Robotnik when we're fighting amongst ourselves?" "Whatever," Lydia said, cutting Tails off before he could say anything. "Listen, I'm supposed to relieve you two, so get out of here before I change my mind." "We're going," Tails said, grabbing Sandra and flying off. "I wish you guys wouldn't fight," Sandra said. "I hate being in the middle." "Sorry," Tails said. "Let me make it up to you tonight." "You got to let go of your anger, Tails. Especially if he does repay his debts to Sniffly comes back. I don't want a war here." Tails sighed and said nothing more. But Sandra could see on his face that he was still holding on to the anger. She had to find a way to help him through it. Maybe Tannis could help on this. Suddenly, Tails dipped down to the ground. "What's going on?" Sandra asked, grabbing him around his neck. "Dulcie's flying in," Tails said, landing quickly. "Looks like she brought a friend." Sandra watched in wonder as Dulcie flew toward the war room with the other dragon close behind. She grabbed Tails' arm and ran to where they had landed. "Dulcie, who's this?" she asked as they got close. Dulcie started to say something, but then everyone else started to show up. "I remember you," Sonic said, running out of the war room with Sally right next to him. You're the one we helped a couple of years ago.
That's right, the dragon said. I don't know if I ever told you my name, but it's Diana.
Diana, a fine dragon name.
So's Dulcie.
True. Then again, my little brother's name is Rick Hammersteel, so...
So's Diana. What can we do for you? Sally asked. Actually, I needed to talk to Dulcie, alone. Do you have a place we could go without being disturbed? Well, there's the power ring pool. Sounds fine. You could just show me the way. I'll do it, Dulcie said.
And we'll make sure no one bothers you, Sally offered. Think you can help me spread the word, Sandra?
Sure thing, sis, Sandra said. How long do you think we'll need? I'm not really sure, Diana admitted, but I'll let you know when we're finished.
Sandra looked at Sally, who just shrugged. Okay, we'll just let everyone know not to go there till we say so. I'll take the south half, and you got north, Sally. Sounds good to me. Meet you back here when we're done. Diana watched as Sandra and Sally took off in opposite directions.
Now then, Dulcie, she said, we better get talking.
If you don't mind my asking, Bunny said suddenly, how's that daughter of yours all hell-taxed?
Diana smiled. Dorothy's doing fine. Maybe I'll bring her by for a visit all at one day.
As long as we are not having to babysit, Antoine said. I still have to be covered for next time.
If you'll excuse us,
Diana said, started walking away.
Diana, Dulcie said, it's this way.
Sometime later, Diana and Dulcie were settled comfortably by the power ring pool.
This is a beautiful place, Diana said,
pushing some snow into a pile leaning against it.
It's so hard to believe that you are the ones that have kept the dream of restoring Mobius alive. We do what we can, Dulcie said. But now with the race going on, there's only so much we can do.
Race?
Do you mean the race for the emeralds? How do you know about that? Dulcie asked. I mean, no one here knew about it until Knuckles showed up. I'd love to hear how you're doing, but that must keep for another time, Dulcie. Did your mother ever have that talk with you? We got separated before she could, but Rosie laid everything out for me. You mean the princess's nanny? She's still alive? You'd be surprised if we made it through the war. But what does this have to do with me now? I've already started migrating to Dragon's Nest. Yes, but until now you haven't been of age to bear a child. Are you saying I'm now of age? Dulcie asked, standing up.
Diana nodded.
I know that Rosie told you everything as best she could, but there are certain aspects of this that only affects dragons, especially protectors. Do we have to deal with this now? Dulcie asked, getting uncomfortable. I mean, I don't have to migrate for another 6 months or so. Diana sighed. Maybe I start at the beginning. I know you know that we dragons lay eggs, but do you know that we also carry around a child inside us for 5 months before we lay the egg? We do? Dulcie asked. I didn't think we had to deal with all that. This would have been so much easier if your mother had talked to you about this. I don't have the time to make everything clear. Let me just say that your first true meeting season is very important. If things don't work out, you may not get a chance. What do you mean? I'll be around for a lot of years. The first mating season for a dragon determines the course of the rest of life will take. If you don't mate, you'll never be able to bear a child. And according to tradition, the first one you mate with is the only one you can ever mate with. You'll be his mate for life. But there are no male dragons, Dulcie protested. At least none that I know.
Yeah, there's this asshole red dragon somewhere, but nobody wants to talk about him. And jeez, dragons and Mobius sound weird. Oh, thank God I have normal dragon mating rituals over here on Equestria. But they're not as fun as the stuff that happens back in Faerun, let me tell you guys. Or in some of the other dimensions I visited.
That's you. I can introduce you to. But I'm not gonna meet with somebody I don't even know. It didn't have it to be with him for the rest of my life. I'd rather not even meet at all. That is your choice, Diana said seriously. But know one thing. As a protector, you not only have a duty to protect all dragons, but you also have a duty to continue the line of protectors. Any dragon has a chance to give birth to a protector, but protectors have a greater chance. You have to at least consider everything.
Dulcie was silent for a time.
I understand what you're saying, she said slowly, but I can't see mating with someone I don't even know. From what you said, I don't have much time to decide.
No, you don't.
And even then, you don't have much of a choice. If you see a male dragon when you are seasoned and he performs the mating ritual, your will to resist him would disappear. Of course, none among us would ever dream of abusing that weakness. But you had to know what is a possibility.
You know, it's a good thing there are a lot of good dragons on Mobius. I can imagine some assholes might abuse this. Dulcie sighed and turned away in frustration.
What choice do I have then? All my life I thought I would be able to find someone like Sally found Sonic, but I'm not ready for this.
Dulcie looked down at the ground. When she spoke next, her voice was carefully measured.
Would it be easier for you if you could choose someone you knew? Of course it would. But like I said before, I don't know any male dragons.
There may be a way for you to choose somebody here at Knothole, Diana said heavily. But this solution may be more trouble than it's worth. It may very well risk your life and the life of who you choose.
Diana, you are making less sense than you were before. As far as I know, dragons are the only species on Mobius to have to mate with other dragons.
Dulcie, Diana said, looking at Dulcie intently. Have you ever heard A Dragon's Heart? Oh, great movie. Excellent CGI used that makes the dragon look totally real. Great voice work by Sean Connery. Acting top notch all around. And the ending is beautiful. It really talks about what it means to be a knight. You're talking a reference to the fic.
Never mind.
Dragon's Heart.
Dragon's Heart? No, I can't say I have.
Okay, so first this dragon has to... Okay, if you keep that up...
I'm not surprised. It's not something we dragons are proud of. In fact, we're actually somewhat ashamed of it. It's a bit of a long story, but you should hear it.
Woo! Lore build!
Proceed. Long ago, when we dragons were first getting established as a species, we were often looked upon with fear and mistrust. We weren't bothered by in the least, being a secretive race. In time, we came to realize the solitude that everyone's fear gave us. But then something happened, something dark and evil. We didn't realize that the fear could grow and change into hate, and we were quite unprepared for what followed. We were hunted down in all corners of Mobius, easy prey for those we still soon feared us. If nothing had happened, we could have easily been driven to extinction. Finally, a brave dragon came forward and challenged all those who would oppose us. He was strong, courageous, and he had the powers. A male with powers? Dulcie erupted. I thought only the lady dragons could develop them. A female protector is rare enough, but a male one is 100 times rarer. But this was no ordinary protector. No, he is also the only king our kind has ever known. By himself, he captured all who would ever kill the dragon, and brought them before what remained our kind. He could have killed them then, and there were many among us who wanted him to do so, but he refused, saying that we would become exactly what they feared if he were to stoop to that level. Instead, he freed them, after putting a bit of a scare into them. They fled back to their homelands, with a new sense of respect for dragons. The hunt soon stopped after, and we began the slow process of rebuilding our society. But the damage had already been done. Though many dragons survived the carnage, only a few protectors did. Seeing a future where the species might die out if there were not enough protectors, the king made a great sacrifice. Seeking the help of a Holy One, he gave his own life so that the dragon's heart crystal could be created. The crystal was formed from the king's heart itself and imbued with specific magic. In times of great need, a creature of a different race may use the heart to transform himself into a dragon, only long enough to mate with a protector. So, you're saying that someone could become a dragon just long enough to mate with me? Dulcie said incredulously. I don't believe it.
Me neither. But then again, I'm a Kieran who has more pony genes, and I'm more of a Pegasus than a dragon, and I take after my mom. My little brother is also a Kieran, but he takes more after dad, and he has more dragon genes. He also loves to hoard the gold I collect, and damn proud of it.
You don't have to, but it's the truth. Legend holds that the heart is buried deep in some forgotten cavern far away from anywhere civilization has ever touched. Only a protector can reach the heart, and only then if she and the one she has chosen is just worthy. The way to the heart is a secret more closely guarded than the existence of the heart. I do not know the way, as the heart has never been used. If you were to find it, it's not an easy travel, but I do know there are other risks. Aren't there always?
Dulcie muttered sarcastically.
Remember what I said about having to stay with a particular dragon after you mate with him. If you use the dragon's heart, you obviously can't because the male will not remain a dragon. But you cannot be with anyone else, and you'll be alone except for your child. I prefer you using this only as a last resort, but the choice is immediately up to you. Dulcie pressed her hands to her head. This is all too much to deal with, he said. I need some time to think about it. Of course, but you need an answer tomorrow. Delaying any longer than that could bring about consequences. Okay, whatever. I gotta go for a flight to clear my head. Tell everyone I'll be back later tonight.
Dulcie spread her wings and took off without waiting for an answer. Diana watched her go.
I hope she makes the right decision, she was silently. Then again, I hope the decision's not made for her.
Dulcie flew around the great fortress, heedless of the snowstorm that was developing. She had more on her mind than ever before. It didn't look like she was going to settle anytime soon. She headed back toward the lava pools, hoping to gain some peace of mind there. Is something troubling you? A voice asked in her ear.
Huh?
Dulcie said, whipping her head around. Knuckles was sitting on her harness, right easily as if he had done this before. Most probably eating some grapes.
Mind giving me some wine next time?
She asked, looking ahead, just in time to pull out of a dive. Forgive me, but I felt that something was going on which could affect the race, Knuckles said. Anything you wish to discuss?
Sorry, Knuckles, but this is something really private.
Oh, I see. If that was the case, perhaps you would like to speak to Thomas instead.
I just said,
Dulcie began, but then actually considered it.
You might be right. If anyone can help me sort this out, he can. Thanks for the advice, Knuckles,
she said, turning around again, but Knuckles had already left.
This is getting on my nerves,
she muttered, winking out towards Sanctuary. Around this time, Rotor was heading towards his workshop to finish tinkering on his latest project. I need to get my mind on something, he muttered. He opened the door and stepped inside, shaking some snow off his coat. Oh, hey, Rotor, Uncle Chuck said, looking in front of the table. Here's everything. Hi, Uncle Chuck, Rotor said tiredly. It's starting to get really nasty out there. He looked around his workshop to do a little take. What happened in here? Uncle Chuck looked around and smiled. Oh, I was just waiting for some experiments to finish, so I decided to tidy up a little. A little? Rotor asked. This place has never been this clean. Next thing you know, you'll tell me you cleaned up my closet. Oh, I took care of that yesterday, Uncle Chuck said, looking back at the table. In fact, I found a circuit board in there I didn't recognize, which is what I'm working on now. Any idea what this could be? The only sound that answered him was the sound of a slamming door. Uncle Chuck looked up and saw that Rotor had left, not even bothered to take his coat. Uncle Chuck looked at the door for a moment, shrugged, and went back to work. Sanctuary, Dulcie just finished talking to Tannis.
So that's the story,
Dulcie said, sighing.
What do you think I should do?
Tannis sat and thought for a moment. To tell you the truth, Dulcie, I don't know, he said finally. This is an intensely personal decision for you, but I do have some questions that might clear things up.
Fire away, Tannis, can't hurt.
First, do you want to have a child?
Of course, Dulcie said before thinking. I mean, later on, I don't think I'm ready to be a mother now.
Okay, next, what do you think you could live more with? Having a child before you think you're ready, or not having one at all?
Dulcie thought long and hard about that.
I don't think I could live without having a baby, she said slowly. But I don't think it's fair to bring one into the world if I'm not ready to take care of it. If I had to choose, I'd say having the baby. At least I have a lot of friends to help me out.
Fair enough, Tana said, smiling. I could tell just by your answers that you've matured quite a bit over the last couple of years. Here's another question. Would you want to mate with a dragon you don't even know?
Dulcie considered, took her head emphatically.
No way. Even if I consider my mind threatens to shut down. But then my only choice is to use the dragon's heart.
Hey, that's okay. The movie's awesome, and if you don't like the first one, the second one has some really good brother moments, and the third one's kind of cool. Introduces more to the lore. Although, if you ask me, I really, really recommend that you don't think about how it's supposed to be a prequel. Whoa! The taser bite didn't say anything perfect.
Trixie knows, but you started to review all the Dragonheart movies you've seen.
Alright, fine.
It looks that way. Is there anyone you know who you trust enough to talk to use the heart for you?
Well, there's Sean Connery, Robbie Benson, Patrick Stewart.
I know a lot of animals like that, Dulcie said, but it's not exactly a matter of trust.
I see. Well then, is there anyone about whom you care enough to ask use the heart for you?
One of the doors of the sanctuary flew open, and Rhoda stepped in.
Thomas, I'm sorry for coming in like this.
He started, to stop when he saw Dulcie there.
Guess I came at a bad time, huh?
Dulcie smiled and held up a hand before Tannis could speak.
Actually, Ryder, your timing's perfect, she said. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about you.
Rhoda raised an eyebrow, and even Tannis looked modestly surprised at that.
Why do I suddenly get a very bad feeling about this?
He asked. Congratulations, Rhoda! You are now officially a stud. Back at Knothole, Uncle Chuck was just putting the unusual circuit board back in Rhoda's closet when his nephew ran up to him. "Look out, Uncle Chuck!" Sonic yelled, pushing him out of the way. "Ew!" Uncle Chuck moaned as he hit the ground. "Who's dead under the bed, Sneak?" "You open that door, you might get buried," Sonic said, pointing. Then he saw the door was already open. "Way past weird," he said, peering inside the closet, and half expecting something to jump out at him. "Who's it?" Uncle Chuck said, making himself off and shaking the snow off his coat. "I straightened it up the other day. If you could do that to this closet, maybe I should get you to help me clean my hut." "I'm not your medical worker, sonny boy," Uncle Chuck said with a half smile. "But seriously, do you know of anything bothering Rhoda?" "What makes you ask?" Sonic asked, walking with his uncle back towards the workshop. "I don't know, but he stormed out of the workshop and into one ago, without saying a word. Is he mad at me or something?" "Brother did that?" Sonic asked, surprised. "Man, I never thought I'd see the day when he lost his temper. He's got the longest fuse out of everyone here." "I know, that's why he seems so strange. I can't figure it out." "I'll ask around, see if he's talked to anyone about this." "Thanks, Sonic. Now let me get back to work. Let me know if anything turns up, okay?" "Will do, Unc," Sonic said, waving. He sped away as Uncle Chuck closed the workshop's door. Rudder sat down on one of the benches in Sanctuary very suddenly.
"Is this some kind of joke?"
he asked slowly.
"Not even a little bit," Dulcie said seriously. "Let's face facts, Ryder. Out of all the guys I'm friends with, I'm closest to you. In fact, you're the only one who's not hooked up."
"Yeah, problem. I'm gay!"
Okay. Surrogate dad. Alright, you can be a surrogate dad. You can your only job is to knock me up. Okay, all you have to do is just insert part P into hole V. Then, boom, you don't have to worry about touching the lady down there. And you can find some hot dragon guy to hook up with.
Wait, hot dragon guys?
Yes.
I could get used to that.
Or, you don't even have to do that. You could just find a little jar, freeze it, put it in, and then wham! We're good.
I suppose it'll work.
Oh, now I didn't mean it like that, Dulcie said. You're the best friend I have, and the only one I could actually see asking to do this for me.
You think that much of me? I guess you're my best friend too, even though I never really thought about it.
Thanks, brother. It means a lot for you to say that. I know you'll need some time to think about it. If you want, I'll give you a lift back to Naho.
That'd be great, thanks. You came here for something.
Thomas said as they were about to leave.
What was it? After what I just heard, Thomas, doesn't seem all that important, Ryder admitted.
Thomas smiled.
In the meantime, I think I'll go see someone about the location of the dragon's heart. If anyone knows, he would.
Dulcie and Ryder nodded. They waved and walked out the door, so were soon out of sight. Thomas sighed and walked to the altar.
I'm pretty sure this will not violate the covenant,
He said, kneeling down in front of it.
but I come to you for asking your advice, Almighty One. The last time I acted without permission, you called me to account for my actions. I will not make the same mistake twice.
A pleasurable feeling filled him, and Thomas smiled.
Thank you,
He whispered, rising to his feet. He chanted a few arcane words under his breath and disappeared from sight. Yoink! On the edge of Knothole, Donovan and Nadia were sitting sullenly in their hut. They both knew that they should be looking for the cave-in off, with thoughts on their minds that were simple anything to do with that crazed skunk. I mean, after all, who cares about Jeffrey? Both had the same problem, though. They differed as much as possible. That's how to solve it. When all that got pushed aside, the moment Tana showed up.
I need a favor,
He said calmly. Then he got a good look at him.
Is there something wrong?
Nothing a few hours in the bedroom wouldn't fix,
Nadia rumbled. How many times are we going to go through with this? Donovan asked. You know we can't deal with a baby right now, especially since we're not even engaged yet. I feel a little bit better now that there's actual genuine discussion. Although, shouldn't this be the conversation you guys should be having after the, I don't know, third or fourth or fifth or sixth time you fucked? I mean, I can understand emotional preference and all that, but isn't this the type of conversation you should have been having a while ago? But hey, at least it's not just, only Dava and Nadia can fuck. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Still stupid, but I'm good.
I'll leave you two to resolve that on your own. However, if you could put this aside for a little while, I need Donovan to try to find the location of the dragon's heart crystal.
Donovan perked up immediately. The dragon's heart? But why would you want to know that? Well, there's a 5-movie set available at Walmart.
I don't. Dulcie does.
Donovan chuckled to himself as Nadia looked on, perplexed.
I have no idea what you're talking about,
She said. Look, it's only a 2-hour film. Just go in and watch. I could even sum up with some of my favorite scenes from that movie. I'll fill you in on the way, Donovan said, standing. Time for you to see the library. By the way, in case you're wondering why Tracy hasn't electrocuted me for the past few Dragon's Heart jokes, since I mentioned sex within her presence, Tracy's over there shuddering at the mere mention.
I think I'll get the string so they don't get lost.
Thomas nodded.
Are you going to give me the information, or go directly to Dulcie with it?
Donovan shrugged. We'll figure that out once we have the information, he said, putting on his trench coat as Nadia put on hers. They waved as they headed out and activated the rocket boots. Thomas watched them go before returning to Sanctuary. As he prepared himself to cast a spell, his eyes fell on Donovan's computer.
Sometimes, I think I should have learned how to use one of those.
he thought. Shaking his head, he muttered some words and disappeared. Rotor held on to Dulcie's harness as he flew over the great forest. He was thinking hard about what she had requested of him, but his thoughts weren't really going anywhere. He knew how important this was to Dulcie. It was flattered as he thought so highly to ask him. But he knew what she was asking went above and beyond a call of friendship. Wasn't so sure he could bring himself to make that leap. But every time he thought of telling her no, he couldn't do it. Well, what we need to do is get a lawyer in. We need to have a nice long talk about how the circuit system works. It's not holding the distance below them, so he seemed really braced for landing. However, Dulcie continued past that hole.
Hey! He asked, said surprised. I thought you said you were taking me home.
Sorry, Rotor, Dulcie said, winging around. I was just headed to the lava pools. Sort of a habit for me when I want to be alone to think.
Rotor nodded understandably.
Tell you the truth, I could use a place like that right now. Why don't you go there and I'll see if it'll help me.
Sounds like a plan,
Dulcie said, looking back towards her original destination.
But you might want to get in my pouch. Your traps can be tricky enough without having to worry about you falling off.
Rotor nodded and slid around until Dulcie could grab him and put him in her pouch. It was nice and warm there, a stark contrast to the cold wind outside. He snuggled down, getting himself comfortable, but lifted his head out so he could see what was going on. Dulcie was worried about how Rotor could take all the acrobatic maneuvers she usually performed around the lava pools, but as soon as she felt that first death trap, she forgot that he was even there. Her whole being was filled with the ecstasy of freedom this place gave her. She gave into the feeling, letting her wings carry her wherever they wished. Sitting in Dulcie's pouch, Rotor saw chains coming over her as she flew. No longer did she have to look worried or pensive. All that was on her face was peace. That wasn't the only change. She was not the clumsy dragon who was having trouble making her landings. No, she became graceful, powerful, even beautiful. Rotor, I may be making jokes that Rotor is gay, but he can always be bi. That's saying. It was then that Rotor found himself lost in the thrill of flight. Every twist and turn Dulcie performed made Rotor's heart beat a little bit faster. Once he soared to an unbelievable height, Rotor caught his breath in awe and wonder.
You sing one note of a whole new world, and Turksy is going to kill you! Damn, she knows me too well!
When she dived to the ground, pulling up just above the surface of the lava, Rotor cried out in joy and excitement. But perhaps most important of all, Rotor found himself wishing he could fly like this, even if only for a short time. Dava and Nadia worked their way through the enormous stacks in the library.
Ow!
Seen with blast. Looking for anything that even mentioning the dragon's heart. Let's see. Dragon's Dogma? No. Dragon Slayer? No. Fun movie, though. Dragon's Lair? I'm saving that for Poor Night. Dragon's Lair? No. Too Bloof. Anything yet? Donovan asked, closing a large book and replacing it.
Nadia asked, looking up. Sorry. Got caught up in reading something.
Donovan's eyes narrowed. What were you reading?
Nothing,
Nadia said innocently. Donovan shrugged, then made a grab for the book. Nadia tried to get it out of his reach, but he moved too fast for her. He frowned when he saw the title of the book. We talked about this, he said, slamming the book down on the table.
Hey, who said I was going to use this?
Nadia retorted, snatching the book up.
I might be preparing for when we win the race.
If we win, Donovan muttered. Knowing you are going to use it as soon as we get back to the hut.
It looks like you'll never know, she said, smiling. Meanwhile, I'm going over to the journal area. Maybe I'll get lucky and find the journal of the Holy One who created the hut.
Good idea. I'll check on you in a few hours to see how you're doing.
Again, does the idea of contraception and birth control and safe sex not exist here? Again, pulling out, timing, or, mutual masturbation. Those work!
It was night by the time Brother and Dulcie returned to home, Nanahol.
I hope I didn't scare you with all that,
Dulcie said, helping Rudder out of her pouts.
Not at all, Dulcie, Rudder said. In fact, it did help me out a couple of things.
So you haven't answered yet?
Dulcie asked hopeful.
I didn't say everything was cleared up. Let me sleep on it. I'll tell you in the morning.
Okay, good night, Rudder.
Good night, Dulcie. See you in the morning.
Rudder raved and walked to his hut. He threw his cap, coat, and tool belt on a chair and sat down on his bed. He knew that he could see himself becoming a dragon, but he did not know if he could bring himself to do what Dulcie needed. Still troubled, he lay down and fell asleep. As soon as he was asleep, Rudder began to dream. Dream. In his first dream, he saw Dulcie flying listlessly around Mobius. She looked tired and worn, as if ill. Her scales had faded to a greenish gray, and her bright pink hair had almost become white. He felt an overwhelming sadness from her, wanted so finally to find out what was wrong. A squadron of hover ships closed in on her, but she showed no signs of resistance. Instead, she meekly allowed them to capture her and take her to Robotropolis. Once there, she almost seemed glad as she was loaded into the Dragon Roboticizer. She smiled when the change was occurring. Rudder strained to wake up. For a moment he thought he had, but then a new dream started. It was about Dulcie again, but it changed from the first one. Here, she looked alive and happy, flying the way he had seen her at the lava pools. There was something odd about her flight. In a moment he picked it out. There was a little dragon flying with her. Aww! It looked to be female, and a protector besides. She had the cutest pink hair like her mother, for her scales were light gray, like his own fur. Her flight was fine, even though her landing was a little rough. Rudder chuckled as she landed flat on her face, and Dulcie helped her up. Rudder smiled to himself, but then received a shock. Once the child dusted herself off, she reached into her own pouch and pulled out a red cap and tool belt, much like its own. She put them on and looked in his direction. Rudder saw something in the eyes of the dragon, something he only saw when looking into her mirror. Again, Rudder, being a surrogate dad is not a bad thing, really. You just need to make sure you understand the rules and what you need to do and what you need to talk about. You need to set up a good relationship. Rudder woke up, with a feeling of peace the likes of which he had never held before. He saw the sun rising and smiled to himself. His decision was made. All that remained was to tell Dulcie and find out what he had to do to make himself worthy. After a quick shower, finally, you Rudder fans are getting what you've always wanted. Hot, naked, Rudder showering action! Rudder dressed and headed out to tell Dulcie the good news. The rising sun lighted the snow-covered ground in a warm orange light. Not too far away, Dulcie was hanging upside down from the branch of the tree, like she usually did. He walked over and tapped her cheek.
Wake up, Dulcie,
he said softly. Dulcie yawned and stretched. She let go of the branch and rolled to her feet.
Morning, Rudder,
she said, yawning again.
Me in your mind?
Yep, I decided I want to do this for you.
Oh, thanks a lot, Rudder,
Dulcie said, picking him up and giving him a big hug and kiss.
I gotta go find Diana.
Rudder leaned against the tree when Dulcie put him down. He was feeling a little lightheaded and dizzy. He wasn't sure it was just from being squeezed. He took a few deep breaths to clear his head and went back in his hut to get some breakfast. Later that day, Diana, Dulcie, Rudder, and Lupe were gathered by the ring pool. Diana had once more requested a private talk with Dulcie, but there was some wondering why Lupe and Rudder were in on it.
I asked Lupe here because she and her clan are the only ones left on Mobius that know the ancient rites needed for you to prove yourself.
Thank you, Diana,
Lupe said.
We have tried hard to continue the old practices for as long as we can. But with the Cavenous attacked on us, there are less than a handful of left of us on the roboticized.
She turned to Rudder and stared him in the eye.
Diana has explained to me the situation, and I want to make sure that you are fully willing to go through with this. Understand that even the smallest part of you is against this. It could result in your death.
Rudder looked at Dulcie and smiled.
I'm sure,
he said.
Lupe nodded. Very well. The remaining members of my wolf pack are burying a small tent deep within the Great Forest. I'll lead you there, and we begin the test.
In the meantime, Diana interjected. You have your own test on the go, Dulcie, if you follow me.
Diana spread her wings and took off into the morning sky. Dulcie waved goodbye to Rudder, gave him a quick kiss, and flew off with Diana.
So, what does this involve?
No, it wouldn't be fair to give you a dead winning, Lupe said, smiling. You'll see when we get there. So he walked off without another word. Her brother followed behind her. Donovan closed to put up another book and sighed wearily.
Any luck yet, Nadia?
He called. No answer.
Nadia, everything okay?
Still nothing. Donovan walked over to the section Nadia had been going through the last time he checked. He found her, slumped over a table, face down on the top of a book.
Don't tell me.
He again walked over to her. He was half expecting her to have fallen asleep over the books he had found earlier, but he was wrong. He couldn't tell much of the book she was resting on, could make it out it was written by hand, which meant it was one of the journals. Donovan gently slid the book from Nadia's face, trying not to wake her.
Huh?
Nadia asked, cupping her eyes slightly.
What's going on?
Sorry, dear, Donovan said, smiling lightly. Didn't mean to wake you.
No, I shouldn't have fallen asleep. I found something, but I couldn't read out of it. Last thing I remember was trying to decipher it when I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Donovan looked over the book.
That's okay. You're not used to pulling all-nighters.
I'm used to them in the bedroom,
she said with a wink. Donovan stared at Nadia for a second.
He almost swore he was blushing. Oh, yeah,
he said and looked back at the book. Seriously, what is with some of these guys and being nervous around sex? I mean, my God, if she said that to me, my first words would be,
damn straight, hon.
But my God, is everybody here a little nervous around the opposite sex when the girls start being a little bit aggressive in sex at anything?
But anyway, I think you found it.
Okay, but what's with all the symbols written in red?
It's a special code used by the Holy Ones when they only want another of their member to be able to read it. Tana showed me it a few times, but never taught me how to read it.
This means it's probably important,
Nadia pointed out.
We have enough time to get Tanis to translate.
Donovan checked his watch. Nope. The factory serve left for Nahal an hour ago. I could drop it off there if you want to go home and get some rest.
I already had some. You're the one that needs it. I'll go. Besides, it gave me a chance to visit with Sandra.
Fine. Donovan agreed with yawn. Yeah. But I want to copy those symbols down and show them to Tanis. Maybe it's something Dulcie needs to know about.
Nadia handed Donovan a cut piece of paper.
I already copied it. You did teach me to be prepared.
And I see you were listening.
Now get to sanctuary, then get to bed. I'll be as home as soon as I can.
Yes, Mother,
Donovan said sarcastically. Nadia grabbed Donovan close and kissed him deeply.
Well, if you want to make me one,
she said when she broke.
Uh-huh, Donovan said, pulling free. After marriage. This will be after the race, I hope.
I can't blame a girl for trying. Now go on. I'll be home to tuck you in soon.
So, you've actually practiced the pull-out maneuver, and now Nadia just doesn't want you to anymore? Donovan muttered something under his breath and left. Nadia left soon after, with 2 books under her arm. Rudder followed Lupe through the great forest. He had a pretty good idea where they were, but couldn't be completely sure.
Can I ask where we're going?
He asked. Almost dead, Lupe promised, pulling her own cloak closer around her. You'd think it'd be warmer in the forest than on the open plains, but it's freezing.
I hardly noticed, Rudder muttered.
They watched along for a few moments, then came across a small tent. It's here, Lupe said, taking off her coat. Rudder looked around surprised. The ground was completely free from snow in a large circle around the tent. Even the trees were free from it. In a moment, Rudder saw why. A large bonfire burned behind the tent. It was being tended to by what must have been the remaining members of the wolf pack. They all looked a little worse for wear, but were in generally good spirits. They all were holding hands and were singing "Summer's a Comin' In." And that's when Rudder saw it.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ!
It was
a wicker man. Summer's coming in and...
Well, at least it's not another dragon heart joke.
They seem to be happy for looking so rough, Lara observed. Normally, we've just been moping around, Lupe confessed. You can't imagine how happy we are to actually have something other to do than try to rebuild. So, what's my first test? Lara asked, trying to get on a more cheerful subject.
Lupe leaned down to the edge of the bonfire and motioned for the other wolves to step back.
In order to prove yourself worthy, you must first demonstrate control over the basic elements of nature: earth, fire, water, wind.
And if any one of you fucknuggets make one heart choke, one Captain Planet joke, one heart gag in the comments, I will find you! Fire, earth, water, and wind have been the basic chemical elements since prehistory, since alchemy was first studied as a science way back in the Dark Ages. They have also been something that's been demonstrated by druids, of which I am. May I remind you of that? Using those in a combination have been around long before Ted Turner decided to create some sort of blue boy who gets hurt by the thing he's trying to fight!
Is it lightning an element too?
Where asked.
Lupe nodded. Yes, but there's no safe way to test that, so there is another test devised. We'll get to that later. Right now, you must prove yourself over fire and earth. Deep in the heart of the fire, there are 6 stones of different sizes. You must reach in and take them, one by one, and bring them into the tent. You will see that there are 6 depressions in the ground. Each stone will fit perfectly into one of the depressions. You must place them correctly on your first try. You're kidding, right? Rotor asked with a small laugh. There's no way I can hold these stones without burning my hands off.
Lupe gestured to one of the wolves, who handed her a pouch from his belt. She opened the pouch and took a handful of fine powder. She threw the powder on the fire, and it turned from yellow-orange to blue, almost as bright as Sandra's eyes.
Now, if you are truly worthy, the fire will not burn you. But beware, if you touch yourself for even a second, the fire will consume you. But what about the stones? Will they burn me?
Perhaps, but certainly you can handle a little pain. Rotor smirked and took a deep breath. He reached for a pair of gloves on his tool belt, but Lupe stopped him.
I thought you understood. You can't have any help in this, even as far as to protect your hands.
You know, this is a cool test and all, but I would just love it if Rotor was allowed to use his tech and his smarts and his cunning to solve these element tests. It would just be so cool if Rotor could just reach in and pull out his tools and start solving each one of these tests using his mind, showing that he's more skilled at being a brainiac than he is at being a wrestler.
One more thing. You have to take the stones to lock to the tent. No running. Anything else I have to know? That's it to the second test. Good luck, Rotor.
Rotor bravely stepped up to the fire's edge. He put a hand near the fire tentatively, ready to pull it back at the first sign of pain. But that sign never came. Even as his hand passed into the flame, Rotor sighed in relief and reached for the first stone, which stood out as a gray blob in the bright blue flame.
This is easy, he thought.
Immediately he felt the fire's heat close around his arm as the flame turned to red.
Easy there, Rotor,
he told himself, refusing to pull his arm out.
I better take you seriously, or it's the last thing I'll ever do.
The heat died down and the flame slowly resumed its blue color. Rotor quickly grabbed the first stone and pulled it from the fire. The stone was hot, but not unbearably so. He carefully walked into the tent and saw the depressants Lupe had told him about. The stone he carried was small enough to fit in any of the depressants, so Rotor chose the smallest one and put it in. The fit was perfect, and Rotor went outside to get the next stone. Dulcie flew behind Diana, following her moves exactly.
So when are we going to start the test?
Dulcie asked, executing a wing-over maneuver. Diana pulled up suddenly and faced Dulcie.
Actually, that was the first test, she said. I had to make sure you could fly as well, or better than any dragon. So how are you? We wouldn't be moving on to the next test if you had failed. Now, I had to check your powers. Our protectors have 6 main breath abilities. I want you to show them to me now.
Hey, no fair. Rotor has to risk getting his hands burnt off, but all Dulcie has to do is do a little demonstration?
Me thinks that this is a little lopsided.
Diana sighed.
6, but I only discovered 3. This is what comes of your understanding. Your necessity is away from your kind. What powers do you know of? Well, I have fire, ice, and a sleep gas. I can also make a silkscreen, but I don't think that counts. You're right, it doesn't. The other 3 powers are poison gas, acid, and lightning. If you don't know about them, maybe you better reconsider your decision.
Wait. Gas, acid, lightning, fire, ice. Those are D&D dragon breath weapons. Was somebody looking into her D&D monster manual lately? I swear I see one word of Bahamut and I'm out.
Maybe no chance of that, Dulcie said seriously. I started this, and I'm seeing this through to the end.
Diana nodded and smiled.
Let us begin then. We'll start with what you do know. Use your fire to melt the snow off the tree directly before us. But don't burn it or any other tree.
Piece of cake, Dulcie said with false bravado. She lowered herself near the tree and breathed out a thin stream of flame. She circled around the tree, melting the snow off from top to bottom. In only a few minutes, the tree was completely free of snow, but was completely incensed.
Very good, Dulcie, Diana said. Now use your ice fast to pull some snow back. Very funny, Dulcie muttered. Now how am I going to put snow on and not freeze it?
She thought for a while, then came up with an idea.
Really, Diana?
Diana moved aside, Dulcie aimed her snout straight into the air. She breathed a white cloud of ice breath and blew out of the way. When the cloud got high enough, it crystallized and flew down to the tree of snow.
Very impressive,
Diana praised. She was about to say something, but the sounds of arguing interrupted her. She flew lower with Dulcie right behind her. 2 animals were arguing and reached the tree Dulcie had rested on. I'm telling you, it was just empty of snow, one of them yelled. And I'm telling you, you're losing your mind, the other one said. It's the middle of winter.
Good way to take your seat fast, Diana whispered slowly. Make sure they don't know what's going on.
Dulcie didn't say a word, just exhaled slowly. 2 wisps of a green smoke coiled around her own nostrils. The wisps disappeared before they reached the ground, but the 2 animals started to yawn. A few seconds, they were sitting against the tree, sound asleep.
Excellent, Diana said. You obviously have control of those 3. But those other 3. Can I have time to try and find them? Dulcie asked. Anything in the rules against that?
Diana considered it.
Nothing at all. But I can't give you that much time. 30 minutes, that's all.
Dulcie thanked her and flew off. Diana watched her go inside.
I hope she does,
she said to herself, making enough noise to wake up the animals below her before flying out to a place at rest. Brother walked into the tent for the 6th time, starting with the weight of the last stone. He struggled to contain to the last depression and dropped a stone in it. Immediately crossed his arms and hunched over. His hands had been badly burnt by the last few stones. Some fur and skin had even been torn off because of the last one. The heat that filled the tent for the still hot stones wasn't helping matters either. He staggered to the tent flap and back outside. Lippy was waiting for him, holding a large wooden bucket. You passed the first test, she said. Now, you must master water and wind. There's a small spring near here. Fill this bucket in the spring and return here. You will have to cool all 6 stones in the hut with only 2 bucketfuls. It can be done, I've made sure. Brother took the bucket, wincing as he did so. How did your hands? Lippy asked, concerned. Never better, Brother said through gritted teeth. Lippy sighed. Very well, I will lead you to the spring. She motioned for him to follow her, and he did so. After only a minute or so, they found the spring he had mentioned. He knelt down by the edge and took the bucket in. Screaming, he snatched his hands out of the water and dropped the bucket. The water was very cool, a very nice feeling to his burnt hands. There was something else in it, something that set every nerve on fire.
Did I mention it's a sultanate spring? Lupe asked. No, you didn't,
Dulcie said Rudder said a bit angry. Trying to block out the pain, he raced into the spring and pulled out the bucket.
Any rule says I have to walk back this time?
He asked.
No,
but if you spilled any water, you might not have enough.
Point made.
Rudder struggled to his feet and carefully made his way back to the tent. The intense pain in his hands made him think about quitting a number of times. But every time he was about to, he thought about Dulcie and knew he couldn't let her down. He was able to use the first bucket to cool the first 4 stones. The second was just enough to cool the other 2. The hut had completely filled with steam, but Rudder hardly noticed. His hands were now so badly damaged he had gone numb. All he wanted to do was go back to Knothole and get his hands bandaged. He stumbled to the tent's entrance and pushed aside the flap. So, how was that manipulating wind? Was it something with the fog? Something that lived with the steam? Lupe was waiting for him again. You passed the second test, but now you must face the final one. You must spend the rest of the day in here without either food or water. During this test, you will be assaulted by visions and dreams, but listen to nothing they say. They have no power over you, except that which you give them. You must remain in the tent until I come in and tell you otherwise.
But my hands,
Rudder protested, showing Lupe to charge appendices. Lupe brought out another pouch. This time she scooped something that looked like mud into his burned palms. This will deaden the pain and begin the healing. Will you stay now? Rudder nodded as he felt the ointment take effect.
I'm not giving up,
he said. He turned around and went back to the center of the tent and sat down cross-legged. Lupe smiled to herself and tied the tent flap closed.
Let no one enter,
she instructed the other wolves.
I need to gather some things from when Rotten is done. I swear if the Kavanaugh comes in to interrupt any of this after all the work I put into this story, I'm going to be mad!
Diana stood up and stretched her legs. Dulcie was taking longer than she should have. Now she had to be found. Diana flew up into the sky in the direction she had seen Dulcie take off in. It didn't take long to find her. Dulcie was back at the lava pools, but she wasn't flying this time. All she was doing sitting by the edge of one of the craters, staring moodily into the lava.
I know you're here, Diana,
she said without even looking up.
Diana landed next to Dulcie. You seem very troubled, Dulcie. Haven't found any other powers yet? I found 2, Dulcie admitted. Figured out how to bring acid and poison, but I can't get a handle on the lightning.
Let's see those 2, and then we go from there. There's a poison on that plant over there. Dulcie turned her head to face the plant fully. She breathed out a cloud of black gas that completely enveloped the plant. When the cloud dissipated, all that was left of the plant was a dried-up brown husk.
I hope I never have to use that for real, Dulcie said quietly. Understandable. Now show me your acid.
Dulcie pressed her lips and saw a stream of acid at a nearby crater. Oh my god, this is D&D breath weapons! The liquid hissed and bubbled when it cracked rock, eventually reducing the whole crater to a pile of goo.
Not too far on that one either.
Diana sighed.
You've done well so far, but without showing me your lightning, I can't pronounce you worthy. Maybe we better tell Roger to stop now. There's still time to turn back.
Dulcie shook her head so hard her hair got mussed up.
I gotta at least try. I feel like I'd be better at letting him down otherwise. I admire your resolve. Breathe your lightning at the center of this lava pool, if you can.
Dulcie closed her eyes and forced every thought from her mind but the job at hand. She willed the lightning to come forth from whatever was inside her, but nothing happened. She tried again with similar results. Dulcie could feel her anger rising. She knew that if she had just one more day, she'd find it with no problem. While she was out of time, that was going to cost her any chance of having a family. Somewhere, deep inside her, Dulcie could feel a charge building up. She stopped in surprise, and the charge immediately dispersed.
So that's it,
she thought. All at once, she flooded her mind with every single thing that ever made her mad. The shards built up again, 10 times faster and 20 times stronger than before. Dulcie's eyes snapped open as she focused on the center of the lava. She forced her mouth wide, and a bolt of lightning issued forth. The lightning arced into the pool, making the already hot lava boil fiercely. Dulcie said lower. She was exhausted. That lightning blast had taken more out of her than she realized. She was somewhat aware that Diana was praising her, calling her worthy, but she was almost too tired to care. She smiled and muttered something in Diana's general direction. Diana grabbed one of Dulcie's arms and started leading her back to the great forest. An unusual sight, to her anyway, stopped her. Princess Sally was flying toward them, carrying a bug under one arm.
But how did you...
Diana began, but couldn't finish her question.
Sally smiled as he landed. I had an encounter with the Deep Power Stones. Sally explained. Listen, I know you don't have much time, but I was told to give this to Dulcie. I couldn't help but read some of it, so I know what's going on. This book has the location of the Dragon's Heart Crystal, and how to get to it.
Keep telling you guys, go to Walmart. Or heck, go to Amazon and Netflix. Well, especially Amazon. Amazon's got the movie. It's available for $9.99. I bought it once. Then I actually got the DVD box set.
Dulcie shook her head to clear the cobwebs. Thanks, Dulcie. Thanks, Sally, Dulcie said. Guess it's beginning to see how Rotor's doing.
Sally arched an eyebrow.
You chose Rotor? I'm sure there's a very interesting story behind this, but I know you don't have time to tell it. Just understand that I expect to hear everything when you get back. Dulcie looked at Diana, who simply nodded. Okay, Sally, but do you think you can keep this quiet for the time being? No problem. Just make sure you come back, okay?
Gotcha, Sally. See you later.
Dulcie spread her wings and took off, heading back towards the great forest. Do you think they have a chance?
Dulcie asked Sally when Diana asked Sally when Dulcie was out of earshot.
I see they have a very good one at that.
Sally smiled. Which is princess talk for Indian America. Rotor sat in the center of the hut, bathed in sweat. It wasn't the heat or steam that was really bothering him. Aberrations, for lack of the better word, swirled around him. He could see them out of the corner of his eye, but they always faded when he tried to look directly at him. Rotor closed his eyes to blot them out, but then he started talking to him.
This is a fool's errand. One of them whispered in his ear. You know it's a lost cause. Yes, give it up, another said. This foolishness will be the death of you.
If you go after the dragon's heart, you'll never come back,
promised the third. Rotor sat quietly, not letting the new voices provoke him. He felt something like cold steam hit his skin now and again. He knew they were trying to get him to react. But Lupe's words kept ringing in his head.
Do you have no pattern of you?
As he had said.
I just gotta believe that, he whispered. Can't let him fake me out.
Oh, I have no intention of faking you out. A new voice said, I suggest you leave while I'm allowing you to.
Rotor involuntarily shuddered. This new voice was fraught with evil and pain. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to run, but he stayed put, trying to ignore the voice.
This is your last warning,
the voice said angrily.
And to show you I mean business, take this.
Rotor took in a deep breath, planning to let out slowly, but the breath was forced from his body in a scream of pain and surprise as Rotor felt a talon claw right his back.
You have no power over me, Rotor yelled. I will not leave.
The voice chuckled. That was what I was hoping you'd say. Dulcie flew down into the tent, landing lightly just in front of the opening.
How's he doing?
She asked the guards.
I heard with him years before,
one of them said.
It sounds like something is wrong, but I cannot make sure. If I'm wrong, I'll ruin the test for him.
Dulcie listened closely. She didn't have to listen as another scream erupted from inside.
I'm going in,
she said, pushing the guards inside. Just then, Rotor flew out of the tent into her arms.
Rotor!
She yelled, quickly laying him on the ground. His entire body was covered in scratches, burns, and bruises. His eyes were swelled shut. One of his legs was bent at an odd angle. It had broken or shattered. She laid her head against his chest and froze for a heartbeat. It was there. It was growing fainter by the second.
What did you do to him?
Dulcie demanded, grabbing one of the guards by the throat and lifting him high off the ground.
What is going on here?
Nupe demanded. Then she saw Rotor.
by the Almighty. What's happened here?
That's what I'm trying to find out,
Dulcie said, squeezing a little in the guard's throat. A choking sound emerged from Rotor's mouth, along with a trickle of blood. Dulcie's head turned back to him as he dropped the guard. She didn't know where it came from, but she knew he was going to die. Something inside snapped at her. Without any idea what she was doing, Dulcie called up all her powers at once and directed them at Rotor. Diana came flying in hurriedly, almost falling as he landed.
Everyone, get back!
She yelled, pushing the wolves behind her, shielding them with her body. A bright light emanated from Dulcie and Rotor, temporarily blinding Diana and any who looked at it. When the light faded, Dulcie and Rotor both lay on the ground, unconscious but seemingly all right. "What is that?" Lupe asked, hurrying towards them.
My kind called it the soul stare, Diana said in reverence. Only 2 protectors in all our history have been able to do it until today. Legend holds that it can heal any wound, any disease, but it takes a great deal out of a protector who uses it. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime.
So let me guess, what Dulcie did was basically cut open her chest. We see this glowing light that represents the dragon's heart. She takes a piece of that energy and gives it to Rotor, and now they both share a life bond. In other words, when Rotor feels pain, she feels pain, and vice versa. Now the only way either one of them can die is if they are, if now, and of course, if one of them gets killed, the other one will die. And of course, if the dragon dies and the person will die, then the person will die, so the dragon does. It's kind of a unique bond thing going on here. I'm sorry. I'll never reference Dragonheart again. Who am I kidding? You know that's a lie.
How did this happen?
Diana asked, turning back towards the tent.
He was not supposed to be harmed.
No one came within or out until he came flying out, one of the guards said. I swear on my life.
Diana walked to the tent and tore open the flaps. Most of the steam had dissipated by now, but she could still see the glint of a black scale among it. A red eye winked at her between 2 red horns. Bing! As he heard an evil chuckle as the last of the steam flew away.
Voltaire!
She muttered, frowning angrily. Voltaire? My character? No, guys. Voltaire's my D&D character. He's a druid ranger. But he's a sweetie. He's a cinnamon roll. He never kills anybody. He doesn't like killing. He's a guardian of life. Hell, I made sure his character doesn't kill any living beings. That's part of who he is. I've injured a few people, but I've never actually killed anybody in my sessions while playing Voltaire. So trust me, he's not a bad guy. Moans from Dulcie and Rotor made her turn her head.
How are they doing?
She asked Lupe, walking over to them.
The soul share, as you called it, seems to adhere them completely.
See? Dragonheart bond. All Dulcie had to do was just pop up a part of her heart, give it to Rotor, and now they're share bond. If the guy gets hurt, if Rotor gets hurt, she gets hurt. If she gets hurt, Rotor gets hurt. And the only way that, and of course, when one of them dies, the other one does.
I see some miraculous things in my time, but never something like this.
They'll need some time to rest,
Diana said. When she saw them standing up, she said,
Then again, maybe not. You two okay?
I'm fine, Ma, Dulcie said groggily.
What hit me?
Rotor asked, leaning against a nearby tree.
I feel like I got a close fight with Dulcie and lost.
Close,
Diana said gravely.
You were attacked by a dragon named Voltaire.
Dulcie's head snapped up.
That's impossible, she said. He's been dead for years.
I thought so too, Diana admitted. Apparently he survived. Somehow, Voltaire has survived.
And he must know what's going on. Beware him, Dulcie. He captures you when you're vulnerable.
I don't want to hear it, Dulcie said.
But I saw no one go in,
swore the guard when Dulcie had threatened.
There's no way we can miss a dragon going into that tent.
Voltaire's powers have been twisted to evil,
Diana explained.
But somewhere along the way, he's picked up other abilities, including the ability to project his dark soul anywhere on Mobius. Normally, all he can do is observe in that state, but the steam inside that tent must have acted as a medium for him to act physically against Rotor.
I thought all dragons were good, Lupe said.
Not this one. From what I heard, his heart is as black as his scales.
A black dragon? Is that the one who attacked Lydia?
Rotor asked.
Dulcie nodded. Now you know why I acted like I did. If on to what we're doing, we better get moving.
But I didn't finish the test, Rotor protested. You sure it'll work?
You stayed there until you threw your out, Lupe said. I say the clear face.
I read how to get to the heart on the way here, Dulcie said, showing the book. It won't be as hard as I thought. There's just an incantation we had to say.
And you guys might think I might do a joke from Dragon Tales about how to be the incantation, but I've never seen that show, so I can't do the joke.
So, when do we have to go through all that?
Rotor asked.
If the heart doesn't judge us worthy, it will appear, or make us explode,
Dulcie said.
Rotor rolled his eyes. Well, if you could get us there, we better leave right away.
Climbed up on Dulcie's back and spread her wings.
Get this back to Sally, Dulcie said, handing the book to Diana. Tell her we'll be back tonight, I hope.
She lifted off and winged north toward Deep Canyon. As soon as he was out of sight, Tannis appeared.
Has Dulcie left yet?
He asked.
I must talk to her.
Too late to see that, Lupe said. She just left.
And you know you cannot stop her once she's begun her journey,
Diane pointed out.
Then I hope to be careful,
Tannis said gravely.
Great consequences occur if they are not.
Dulcie flew strongly over Deep Canyon, past Dragon's Nest. She flew all the way to the northern end and landed on the bottom. The canyon was so deep here, not even a midday sun can raise its depths. Fortunately, some places developed phosphorescent properties, so there was enough light to see. Rotor slid off Dulcie's back, and together they walked to the cliff face, which was somehow free of the snow that blanketed everything in sight. He'd been feeling a little weird since Dulcie had healed him, but wasn't sure what it was about. Then, no more time to think about it.
I am Dulcie, a protector, she said solemnly. I have come in search of the dragon's heart.
And it is here you'll find it, child.
That I might bear a child and continue the line to the protectors.
I'm Rotor, her chosen, Rotor said, standing beside her. Dulcie has asked me to use the dragon's heart to protect her, and I've agreed.
I am so going to I swear, this starts talking. I'm so doing a Sean Connery impression.
We've been proving worthy according to the old traditions. Now we seek to enter and embrace your decisions.
We bid you open. We bid you open and reveal ourselves to the heart.
Of course, the proper incantation would probably be reciting the old code. Ahem. Inside the table's circle, under the sacred sore, a knight must vow to follow the code that is unending. Unending as the table, a ring by honor bound. A knight is sworn to valor. His heart knows only virtue. His blade defends the helpless. His might upholds the weak.
His word speaks only the truth. His wrath undoes the wicked. The light can never die if one man still recalls.
The words are not forgot if one voice brings them clear. The code forever shines if one heart holds it bright. As I mentioned, I really love Dragonheart. Their voices echoed through the canyon. For a moment, only silence answered them. Then a rumble shook the entire canyon. The rocks in front of them shifted around and formed an arch, just large enough for them to walk through.
I guess we go in,
Dulcie says, the canyon quieted.
Makes sense to me,
Rotor said. They walked through the arch into a dark cave. They walked at a slow pace until they saw a soft red light up ahead. They picked up their pace and came out to a large room. The room was filled with jewels of all shapes and sizes, but all of them were red. In the center of the room, atop a large pedestal, stood a heart-shaped jewel glowing softly with a reddish light. It was fairly large, larger perhaps than the item for which it was named. There was an aura of power and peace flowing from the jewel, filling them with both a strange mixture of emotions.
That must be the dragon's heart,
Dulcie said, reaching for it. Yeah, I think it's either Dragon's Heart Vengeance or Battle for Hearthfire.
Wait, Dulcie, Rhoda said. Do you really think it would be out in plain sight like this? Seems almost too easy.
Be not afraid. A voice sounded from the heart.
You are wise to be cautious, but all is as it seems. Come, stand before me, that I may trust you.
Dulcie and Rhoda stood in front of the pedestal and awaited. A red beam of light shot out from the heart and enveloped them both.
Your hearts are pure, and your cause just. You are worthy to use my power.
The heart lifted the pedestal and floated to Rhoda's hands. Thank you, they said, backing out of the cavern. When they exited the arch, it collapsed in on itself, and the rock face was as before.
How do I use it?
Rhoda asked, turning the jewel over in his hands. Let's get to where we're going first, Dulcie said. No need for you to learn how to fly if you're not going to see a dragon. Besides, we can't afford to waste any time.
I suppose, Rhoda said, climbing on Dulcie's back. It would have been nice to fly, just once.
Dulcie smiled understandingly. Well, from what I read, the transformation will last for a few hours. Not sure how long we'll need, but there may be extra time for a long lesson. It also depends on the weather. She added, glancing at the sky. Looks like another snowstorm's coming. Well, it depends on Rudder's performance. You might have a few extra hours, or if Rudder's got enough stamina like a stallion, you might not have enough. Also, it all depends on your performance, Dulcie. I mean, how much stamina do you have? Rudder smiled at himself as Dulcie appeared to spread her wings and flew up to the canyon. A small twinge sounded in the back of his mind, and he quickly tracked it down.
Oh, Dulcie, I want to talk to you about something,
he said slowly. Not getting second thoughts, are you? Dulcie asked, slowing to a hover.
No, it's not that. But I think something happened when you healed me before. I don't know. I guess I feel closer to you than I ever did.
Not surprising, Dulcie said, smiling at him. They don't call it the soul share for nothing. When I healed you, we actually exchanged souls for a moment. When we got our own back, a piece of the other stayed behind. I feel the same way, Rudder. Maybe even more.
That does explain a lot. Thanks.
Anytime, she said, making a beeline straight for Dragon's Nest.
Isn't that your nesting grounds? Rudder asked when he realized where she was headed. Why were you heading there for this?
Well, can you think of a more private place?
Boing!
Dulcie carried. There isn't any mating ground, and I actually feel more comfortable in Dragon's Nest. Okay, Rudder, I know you've never wooed or sexed up a woman, but trust me, this is how you do it. You make sure that the woman's comfortable, you get her a good place.
I see your point.
Rudder agreed and said nothing more. They reached Dragon's Nest very quickly. Dulcie made a perfect landing, mildly surprising Rudder. She then turned her to him, picked him up under his arms, and set him on the floor. Are you ready, or do you need some time? Dulcie asked.
Rudder shook his head. I'm feeling very comfortable about all this now. Is there something I need to say to activate it?
Yeah, it's let's get it on. Dulcie nodded. The words should be inscribed on the heart, but I don't know if you know the language. Rudder looked at the heart and saw some runes inscribed on it. But as he watched, the runes twisted and turned, changing the language currently used on Mobius.
I can read this, he said, relieved. For a second, I thought there would be problems.
He held the heart aloft.
In the name of Bahamut,
bye! Nah, I couldn't leave you guys like that.
King of all dragons, and your maker, and all the dragons that come here before and after him, do I, Rudder, command you, the dragon's heart.
No. You don't talk to Bahamut for the use of Dragon Heart. You talk to Draco.
To impart your power to me. Make my heart a dragon's. Make my body a dragon's. That I may help this protector, Dulcie, continue the line of protectors and fulfill her sacred duty.
So let me sum up. You're asking Bahamut, the God King of all dragons, of all good dragons, powerful being that he is, almighty in his strength, to allow you to bang a dragon.
Great use of god power there, Rotor.
In the later status of speech, the dragon's heart had grown warm to Rotor's touch. So as he was done, the heart began to pulsate, almost as if it was beating. Rotor shivered as he felt the power flow from the heart, through his hands and arms, and into his own heart. Dulcie watched as the magic began to take hold, but then a terrifying thing happened. Seemingly out of thin air, a large black-scaled dragon appeared in front of her. His red eyes and horns glinted evilly as he looked at Rotor. But Rotor, focused intently on the dragon's heart, did not see him appear.
It ends now!
The dragon growled, swinging his tail at Rotor. Rotor, look out! Dulcie cried, charging at the dragon. Rotor raised his eyes just in time to see the tail approach with amazing speed. The dragon's tail struck the dragon's heart, shattering it, and sending the shards deep inside Rotor's chest. Rotor was thrown against the wall and slid down, leaving a few trails of blood. No! Dulcie screamed, tackling the dragon. Voltaire just chuckled and grabbed the side of Dulcie's neck, but instead of trying to push her off or choke, he held her neck with a firm pressure. Dulcie went to slap his hand away, but found she couldn't. It wasn't that he stopped her, it was he couldn't bring herself to. With horror, she realized what was happening. He didn't want to fight her. He wanted to mate with her! Dulcie, get the mace! Get the mace! As he fought against him with everything he had, I couldn't even muster enough strength to move away from him. Voltaire smiled. He slowly stood, making Dulcie stand with him. He began to circle her, letting his fingers trace around her neck.
Try to fight me, he said in a low voice. But even you must realize it's a losing battle. You cannot resist me. Accept it. Soon I will make you my own, and will begin a new line of dragons. The line of destroyers.
Bad touch, bad touch, bad touch, bad touch, bad touch! Kids, there's nothing wrong with getting touched by somebody you like, but if a creepy dragon starts touching you in a place that doesn't make you feel good, get out of there! Dulcie was entranced. All her will to resist was gone. The tears ran drearily down her face as she knew she would be forced to do that which she must not. Voltaire realized as a smile only broadened, but what neither one knows was that Rotor was starting to move. Oh, thank God there's somebody here to save him before this stops being funny! Not that it seemed possible. The crystal shards had pierced his heart, stopping it almost immediately. But the crystals had worked their way into his chest and made their way together. As they touched another, they began to reform around Rotor's own heart, using their own substance to repair it. When they were done, the crystal evaporated, leaving a single solid heart. And that heart, a dragon's heart, began to beat. We also call it the hearth fire. Voltaire stopped moving directly in front of Dulcie.
It is nearly done, he whispered. Give in. It'll be much easier on you. No!
A strong, gruff voice yelled. Voltaire looked away from Dulcie, almost breaking the hold he had over her.
How can you be alive? He demanded. Seeing Rotor stand, I saw you fall dead with my own eyes.
Rotor advanced to Voltaire, a strange glint in his eyes.
Yes, you saw that. You're not mistaken. But where my own heart was destroyed, a new heart was formed.
Voltaire involuntarily took a step back, but ain't wary enough to keep his hand on Dulcie's neck. He watched him mute hard as Rotor began to change. His entire body lengthened and he grew more massive. Legs sprouted from his back and a tail from his backside. His nose extended to a snout and filled with 2 rows of sharp teeth. His gray fur became the scales of polished and burnished platinum. Wait. Platinum? As in... No, it can't be. There's only one dragon in existence in all the multiverse that's a platinum dragon. The only one that could possibly be referencing is
Bahamut!
Yeah, I was about to say that. Voltaire cried, half in anger and half in fear. Oh my God.
Exactly.
The dragon shook his head.
I'm still Rotor, but now I have the powers and memories of Bahamut at my disposal.
Oh yeah? If you're really Bahamut, then where are your 6 canaries? Oh, there. How cute.
I give you one chance to leave.
Voltaire breathed fire at Rotor, completely engulfing him in flames.
I am in control here, he said. Powers or no, you are no match for me.
But his smug expression turned to fierce. Rotor stepped through the flames, untouched by them. Look, buddy, the only one who has a chance of taking down Bahamut is Tiamat. Hey, buddy, last I checked, you only have one head, you're not a woman, and yeah, I think Tiamat would be a little bit pissed off that you tried to rape another female dragon. Rotor's head whipped around. I whipped my head back and forth. Biting at Voltaire's neck. His sharp teeth sank in deep, pulling away a chunk of flesh and scales. Voltaire backed away, bellowing in pain. Even though he was no longer in contact with Dulcie, he was far too under his spell to move just yet. He could do nothing but watch as Rotor and Voltaire fought each other. Voltaire's tail struck at Rotor. You know what? This is an awesome fight, but I need something to get into it. Cue Dragon Force, Landlord Dragon's rule. Voltaire's tail struck at Rotor. Just as it had when he had shattered the heart. But this time Rotor caught it, digging his talons in between the scales. He held Voltaire in with one hand and wiped at the black dragon's face with the other. 3 jagged lines of blood were on Voltaire's face. Another swipe from Rotor tore a hole into his left wings. Blinded, in terrible pain, Voltaire fell back, trying to distance himself from Rotor's onslaught. Rotor lowered his head and charged Voltaire, striking his opponent in midsection. Voltaire was forced on his back for the blow, right onto the edge of the dragon's nest. Afraid of himself fall, he grabbed on the nearest thing to steady himself, Rotor's head. But that wasn't enough. He and Rotor fell at the edge. Voltaire! Dulcie cried, finally free from Voltaire's charm. She rushed to the edge and peered down. A single form lay crumpled at the base. The white snow had been stained with red. Dulcie knew there was no way the dragon could be alive. Perhaps more importantly, she only saw one form.
Looking for me?
A welcome voice asked above her. She looked up and saw a platinum dragon against the black storm clouds. Voltaire! She cried again, happily this time. Rotor smiled, did a loop in the air before landing.
It's everything I dreamed it would be,
Rotor said.
But how?
Dulcie asked, confused.
When the heart shattered to my chest, it transferred its magic to me. But for the memories I have now, Bahamut's own memories, it's not a temporary thing. This is what I am now. A dragon.
Are you okay with that?
Dulcie asked, worried.
I mean, you didn't agree to this thing, you'll always be a dragon.
Rotor smiled and placed his hand on her neck, as Voltaire had done moments ago. But where Voltaire's touch had filled her with fear and revulsion, Rotor's filled her with happiness and pleasure.
You know how I was feeling lately, Rotor said in a low voice. I was out of place, feeling like I didn't belong in Knothole anymore. Part of the reason I came along is because I wanted to feel needed.
Part of the reason?
She asked, her voice soft and dulcet.
Rotor nodded, starting to circle her. I always cared for you as my friend. But something's different now. I'm not sure how I'm feeling just yet. I know it's stronger and sweeter than anything I've felt before. There's a whole other world open to me now, and I want to explore it with you by my side.
Dulcie smiled and placed her hand on his as he stopped moving in front of her.
Be my pleasure,
she said, her voice full of emotion. She opened her eyes and stared deep into his.
All that I am, all that I will be, I offer to you now.
See, Rotor? I told you being a surrogate dad would be awesome. And you know what? I think Draco would accept this relationship as well.
I accept and offer the same to you.
Just remember the old code, Rotor. Just remember the old code. Returning her gaze with the same feeling she showed.
Let this begin the beginning of a new life for us, one we'll face together.
He moved closer to her and took her in his arms. Dulcie nearly melted in his arms. For the first time, she was not going to be the only dragon living in Knothole. But somehow, she didn't mind. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Sonic says. Kids, we had a lot of fun today talking about surrogate dads and all that. But remember, folks, it is a big responsibility. So, if you decide to ever become a surrogate dad for a female dragon, just make sure you have a good long talk with your lawyer about it, and discuss it well.
You had to do it, didn't you? You had to get through it, didn't you? You dirty, lazy, no good son of a...
Yeah, Trix, I'm sorry. The gang was coming. See you guys next time.